All right, at this point I've got everything wired up, and now I'm ready to configure Klipper and just kind of get everything connected with the Raspberry Pi. Okay, I've actually found using the Voron instructions very helpful for installing Klipper and Mainsail, so I'm just going to go ahead and follow that, at least for getting Klipper installed on my Raspberry Pi. There are several different front ends that you can run Klipper with, and I prefer Mainsail. I think it's really easy to use. Fluid is also very similar. And then if you're more of an Octoprint kind of person, you can use that too, but I find that it's pretty heavyweight and way more than what you would want just to run Klipper. Another benefit to using Mainsail or Fluid is that you can run it off something like a Pi Zero because it's so lightweight, but I'm actually using a Raspberry Pi 3 for mine. Okay, the first step is to download Mainsail OS, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the latest zip here. In order to flash the image that you just downloaded, you're going to want to use this Balena etcher and just download that. It's available on either Mac OS or for Windows. And now I'm going to flash from file the image that I just downloaded and unzipped. And then I go ahead and hit flash. After you get done with the etching, you have to go in here and update your WPA supplicant file. And what you're going to put in here is your network SSID. It's case sensitive, so make sure you put it in exactly how you spell it. Okay, my next step is to power up the Raspberry Pi with the flashed card in it for Klipper and Mainsail. I've got my power cable here. Now if I wanted to, I could wire my Pi to my board, but I think for now I'm just going to power it this way. After I get everything flashed and a firmware file generated, then I'm going to take an SD card and I'm going to have to flash it here. And I'll go through that step as well. Okay, so I'm going to use a program called Putty to connect to Mainsail. And it's going to give me the security error. Just go ahead and hit yes. And for password, you're going to enter Raspberry. And before we're going to do much with the Klipper menu config, we want to go ahead and make sure Klipper is updated. So the first thing we're going to do is run a few commands. One is to change the directories to Klipper if you're not already there. Then you're going to run sudo system ctl stop Klipper. That's going to make sure that the Klipper is not running. And then we're going to go git pull. It's going to pull the latest down. And then we're going to go ahead and start it up. Okay. Now we're ready to do the make menu config command, which I have typed there. Now you should have all the options that you need. So I've already kind of gone through this, but you're gonna hit enter or space and then pick STM32. You're gonna make sure you pick the STM32F446. Bootloader, you want 32KIB bootloader. Clock reference, you want 12 megahertz crystal. Communication interface, this depends on how you're going to be running it. In my case, it'll be over USB, but if you're going to use one of the UART pins, you can do that as well. And that's pretty much all you need. So once you're done, you're going to hit quit. And then if you had to save it, you would hit yes. And in order to compile everything, hit make clean, and then type in make and hit enter. And everything should start compiling. And the very last step, it should say creating hex file out Klipper bin, as you can see at the very bottom here. And we're just going to go ahead and confirm it's there by changing directory into the out, and then looking to see for our Klipper bin file. Now the next thing we're going to need to do is copy that bin file to an SD card that we can then insert into the Octopus board. I'm going to use a program called WinSCP. So I'm going to go ahead and load that, and then I'm going to type in my host name, which is MainsailOS. And then my username is Pi, password is Raspberry. And then I should be able to go ahead and hit log in. I can pick any, just leave it on SFTP. Just go ahead and say add. And now you should be able to browse to the Klipper directory, to the out, and then download klipper.bin. I'm just going to go ahead and click download, and Doesn't really matter where you download it, but I will go ahead and put it in my downloads folder. So overwrite the local file, yeah, why not? Okay, so I went ahead and downloaded it. You're gonna need to rename it to firmware.bin because that's what the Octopus board is gonna read. So once you rename that, you can then copy it over to your SD card. Okay, so I went ahead and copied it over and I renamed it to firmware.bin once it got to my SD card. So the next step is simply you're going to unload or eject your card from your computer. And once you pull out your card, which I have here, you're going to take this and put it in the Octopus board. Okay, so I'm over here at the Octopus board now. I'm going to go ahead and insert that SD card that I just copied the firmware bin file to. So that should be good. So you can see I've got the card in. You can either power it up with your power supply, or you can power it up with your Raspberry Pi, which is how I'm going to do it. So I'm just going to take my Raspberry Pi cable and plug it in. Okay, so I went ahead and plugged that in now, and it should be applying that firmware. Okay, so this is one way that you know how your firmware bin was successful, is when you run the ls command, the ls dev serial by ID right here. You should get something that looks like this with a very specific identifier here. And it should read your chip that you just configured. So mine looks good. Now that was probably the easy part. Now we got to do the printer.config file. The way you can verify it is by removing your SD card from the Octopus and checking for the presence of this firmware.cur file. Now I'm going to go ahead and suggest starting with this Voron 2 config file. Even though I'm not running a Voron, there's probably a lot of similarities here with how I have things set up. So I'm going to go ahead and use this as my starting point. Something that you're definitely going to want to look at as you go through this configuration is the pinout for the BigTreeTech Octopus board, and you can find that in the GitHub location in their documentation folder. Okay, here you can see I've highlighted the diagram so you can get an idea of how this works. So look at the hot end pins, and then you can see it says HE0, which is where you physically connect it, where the arrow is pointing, and then there's another arrow pointing to the right, and you can see that it's PA2 is the actual pin you're going to use. Okay, one of the first things you're going to need to do is change whatever line they have in there with whatever line you have when you did your ls command. So if you don't have a line that looks like this, it probably means your firmware is not applied properly. Here you can see a close-up of my Klipper printer configuration file. And the first thing that I need to do is add the printer section, and under there it has kinematics Core XY, which is needed for my Core XY build, and then I've just changed the velocity and acceleration. Here you can see that I'm configuring the XY motors, and I need to make sure that the pinout matches, which in this case it's motor 0. Something else that I'll point out is that I'm also marking the end stop pin and setting that to PG9, as you can see there. So that's the proper pin number for the X end stop. And I had to do the same thing for the Y as well. Here you can see I've done something very similar for the Y, and I've confirmed that the pins are correct based on the motors that I have it connected to. So in this case it's motor 1. You'll also see here that I've changed the full steps per rotation setting to 400 because I'm using 0.9 degree stepper motors instead of the standard 1.8. If you're using 1.8, the default would be 200, and you don't even need to change it. So something else that I didn't mention on the previous screen was the position max. So my cube is a 300 by 300 by 400, so I went ahead and filled in 300 both here and in the past setting on the X as well. And here are the settings for my Z stepper. As you can see, I once again confirmed the motor pin, and I really did look at the pinout in order to confirm this. The other thing you'll notice is that I went ahead and commented out where it says Z0 stepper front left. So there's actually 2 motor ports, and I'm running a dual Z, so that works out really well. I just plug one into the one and one into the other. It doesn't matter which side's which. The other thing that I put on here is a position max of about 385, and I did set the position end stop to 0.05. That gives me a little bit of lift above the Z. It's like an offset. And under each of the stepper sections, you're going to see this TMC 2209. So what I did, if you remember in the previous video, I copied down my settings for motor current. So in my case, it was 1000 for Z. So in Klipper, it's a 1. So I just went ahead and filled that out as well. And now we're in the extruder section. And here I once again confirmed, and I'm using E0, which is on my motor 3. So you can see all the pin settings there. One other thing that you see here is the rotation distance. And I had to calibrate my extruder, and there's a formula for coming up with that. It's basically running 120 millimeter filament test through the extruder. And you do that a few times and you eventually come to a number. So for me, that was 7.2, and I'll put a link in the description on how to do that. The other thing that you'll notice here is that I've got a heater pin setting, which is where my thermistor is plugged into, once again on the pinout, and that's PA2. And then you also see the sensor pin and the sensor type, and those are important to get correct. And there are some different settings that you can look up to see what values you should use for sensor type. And there's also a TMC 2209 section for the extruder. And here I set my run current and hold current, set them the same, which is, so in Marlin it was 1100, and here it's going to be 1.1, and that seems to be a good value for my particular Hemera setup. It's a little high, but it does work really well. Okay, and here you can see I've got the heater bed settings, and basically the very first thing there is the pin that's going to power the bed, so SSR pin bed out, and then the sensor type, which is the thermistor, and then the sensor pin, which is the pin that the thermistor is going to use. Something else I'll note here is the max power. If you don't want your bed to just go full power, you can change this to a value less than 1. In my case, I've got a fairly low wattage AC bed, so a 1 is fine. The reason that you might want to change that is if you have a higher wattage bed. In some cases, if you heat the bed too fast, it can taco the bed or basically change the flatness of it. Okay, and now we're in the fan control section of the file, and here you can see I've got 2 fans defined. The first one is the print cooling fan, and that's once again confirming with the pinout PE5 to where I have it plugged in, and then I'm making sure that it's set to max power, and I'm just using a default settings here for the kickstart. And then I've also got my hot end fan below that, and I want that only to turn on when the temperature of the thermistor is 50 C or above. Okay, this last section here is the Safe Z home, and what you're going to see here is the home XY position, which is important. And after that, you're going to see a speed and a Z hop. So when it does do a home, it's going to use that speed, and it'll hop every time you do a home for any axis, X or Y. And the very last thing you see on the screen is the input shaper, and please don't put that in your file if you're watching. That is something that you want to calibrate and tune, and that also happens to be the topic of my next video. I'm going to walk through how I tuned input shaper and basically eliminated my ghosting. So please stay tuned, and thanks for watching.